I was preaching this week from the story in Jesus' life when he sent his disciples out to the surrounding villages to preach the good news of the kingdom. It was the first time Jesus gave them a task to do ministry without him. But as he sent them out, he told them to go in pairs. Mark 6, verse 7. And he called the 12 and began to send them out 2 by 2. Well, that got me thinking about another key element to friend making that we don't often think about. If you want to make a friend, do stuff together. Now, I have this desire to see the church become a place where we make and deepen and enjoy our friendships with one another. And if you think that this is not really an important part of church ministry, then maybe you've forgotten what Jesus said to his disciples in John 15:15. He told them, "No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you." We are meant to relate to Jesus not just like servants, but like a friend. It's not the only component of our relationship with Jesus, but it is an important one. And that's why I've been doing this series I'm calling The Lost Art of Friend Making. The church needs to be a place where people experience belonging in a community that loves each other well and stirs up one another to love and good works. So one of the most deadening effects of this COVID pandemic on the church as we're coming out of it is that we've been pressed into the habits of isolation. We've gotten good at Zoom and Google Meet, but our relationships are suffering. And so we have to retrain ourselves to do things together again. But here's the dirty little secret I want to share with you today. We weren't really actually all that good at togetherness before the pandemic. So I'd like to start us with some biblical perspectives from the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is another one of the wisdom books from the Old Testament. It's a companion book to Proverbs. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12, we read this: "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken." Now, you might recognize this paragraph because we often quote it in the context of marriage. And it is a valuable text for marriage. But really, it's talking about friendship. What are the benefits of togetherness in friendship? Well, two people working together will be more productive than two people working independently from one another. Two people together will be safer, healthier, more protected, stronger. And here's a good principle that we can take away from these verses and apply to our church setting today. Any ministry work that you can do by yourself is better if you do it together with someone else. Now I'd like to turn to another passage in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. Here's another well-known verse. "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." Well, what kind of iron do you need to keep sharp? In their context, it was most likely either an axe or a sword. So what the verse is saying is friends are meant to sharpen each other, to help each other stay more productive in work and more protective against dangers. But don't miss the other picture with this verse. We are all born basically self-centered. It is essentially the biggest problem that each one of us needs to overcome. The gospel teaches us that self-centeredness cannot get us into heaven. We need Jesus. And friendship teaches us, I cannot make it on my own. I need the help and the assistance and the encouragement of others. Well, how do we sharpen each other? Well, give two friends a task to accomplish, and sometimes they will think differently about how to accomplish that task. The verse literally says, "So one man sharpens the face of a friend." This is talking about a face-to-face confrontational process. If your friend does not challenge and sharpen you in this way, then your friendship isn't going to be very useful to either one of you. But the important part is to recognize that our friendships need to have an active, productive component to them. A friend of mine once told me that women tend to bond with each other through face-to-face intimacy, while men, on the other hand, tend to bond with each other through shoulder-to-shoulder intimacy. In other words, women tend to build relationships through having conversations with each other. But men, where do you find men building relationships? On the basketball court, or building a deck together, or teaching young boys how to pitch a tent out in the woods. If churches want men to develop friendships, then churches need to provide opportunities for people to do some kind of work side by side. Now, can men enjoy conversations? Can women enjoy work projects together? Of course, that's not my point. But where we tend to drop the ball as churches is that most of our fellowship experiences involve nothing more than eating or talking. We need more doing too. You can't build friendships solely through digital togetherness. There needs to be some element of in the flesh time together. And you can't build friendships solely through going to church services for 1 hour on Sunday mornings. There need to be activities where we are working together for a kingdom benefit. So if you want to develop meaningful friendships in the church, then do important, faith-stretching kingdom stuff together. Teach a kid's Sunday school class with someone. Find a mercy ministry opportunity in the community that the church can do together as a group. But also, do fun, relaxing, relationship-building stuff together too. Play basketball or golf if that's more your speed. Go out for lunch with someone at church that you don't know well, or grab another parent and take out your kids camping overnight. I want to end by going back to the last line of the two are better than one passage in Ecclesiastes 4. It ends in verse 12 with this: a threefold cord is not quickly broken. We often translate this in our minds this way: if I invite the Holy Spirit to be a part of my marriage or my friendship, then that relationship will be stronger for it. And that is 100% true. We need to take the initiative to make sure that Christ is at the center of our relationships. But we can also think of it from a different angle. If I am together with my friend or my spouse, then our relationship will experience the strengthening presence of the Holy Spirit. In other words, God gives us the blessing of friendship and togetherness so that we will be more aware of the presence of His Holy Spirit with us. When we do things together, we grow closer to God at the same time that we're growing closer to one another. So if you want a friend, do stuff together. Church life is way more fun that way.